What is up, everybody?
Hey everybody, what's going on? Love.Runs.Deep is in the building once again, and we're back with another video. And today's video, as you can probably tell by the title, it is story time. Take it away.
It's basically about part 2 of our relationship journey, and it's actually more of an emotional journey. It's about how we overcame a huge obstacle such as breaking up, the events that led to it, and how we actually overcame that problem. And before we even started the video, we kind of had to relive those moments because we had to figure out how we're going to discuss everything. And it was kind of hard for me, I'm not going to lie, to have to remember everything and talk about it again. It's like, it's one of those things where you feel like you've gotten over it, but when you really have to really think about it that hard, it kind of comes crashing back.
Like, it triggers those emotions and everything that you felt the first time you experienced it.
Right. But
with that being said too, for those of you who are seeing us for the first time, I want to refer you to a video here or here. I don't know which one's going to be, but I'm going to put a card there that links to our previous video. That's how we met, and that's going to get you caught up to speed all the way up into where we are now, so you can rewatch this video and come back to it later on, and hopefully it makes sense that way.
Right.
Otherwise, for those of you who are staying to watch this video, I want to encourage you all to please subscribe, click that post notification bell, and give the video a thumbs up, especially if you've ever been in a relationship where you had trials and tribulations that you had to overcome, but might have had some struggle doing so. But with that being said, we're going to jump right into story time, and we'll meet you on the other side.
Okay. So I will let you start off. As recommended by my brothers, they want to hear Leonard's part of the story. So I'll let you start.
So pretty much, DeRay graduated high school, and I was entering into my senior year of high school. So with that being said, we have the summer to where we used to see each other every day at school, to now we're pretty much long distance because we're not seeing each other at all. And I live on the other side of the city that's probably like 35, 40 minutes away. We didn't have any cars. She didn't have a cell phone, so she couldn't just talk to me. Plus, her parents would not let her talk to a guy on the phone, especially not knowing who I was, because yes, at that time I was still a secret. So we had to be very creative that summer to keep in touch. And what we ended up doing was actually just probably the cutest thing that you guys might think, but we decided to upload videos to YouTube. And we made a private account so no one else could see it. It wasn't public, but we would film the video from our phones or
I have an iPod, so that's what I would use.
iPod camera. I had a cell phone. I also had a actual VCR recorder or whatever it's called. I don't know. But we would upload the videos. We would watch it, and
basically trying to make each other a big part of a relationship, right? Is being a part of each other's daily lives. So he had a part-time job. You know, he had never seen my house before, so what we would do is, like, I gave him, like, a grand tour of my home in one of the videos.
Show me the clothes you wore at home.
Right. Like, the more traditional outfits, because I wear Shawakamis at home.
Yeah.
He showed me when he was at work, what he was doing. Just little videos like that made each other a part of our lives.
It made us feel connected still.
Right.
And they weren't long. Well, actually, some were kind of long. I think we did do some collages a couple of times, but we couldn't do videos that often because obviously people were around us. We couldn't just film every day our lives. Well, at least I couldn't. She couldn't because they didn't know who she was talking to in the camera. It would be kind of weird.
Yeah. But we tried as much as we possibly could.
Yeah, we definitely did try to keep in touch. We did have an app that's called Kick that we did use to text each other late at night when her parents were either asleep or not around, and her brothers as well. Because the only person who knew about me at this time was her little sister, Sarish, which we went to high school with, so she already knew. But beyond that, we really didn't see each other that entire summer. Everything we did was from YouTube videos or Kick, and maybe a couple phone conversations once or twice, but beyond that, very, very limited.
But we looked forward to them. Like, I really liked the videos.
Yeah. I was looking forward to them to being uploaded. But beyond that, you know, beyond the videos, there was only one time that entire summer where I did manage to actually be able to see him. So, my brothers, Faison Fouad, by the way, who wanted a shout out. Shout out to Faison and Fouad.
I love them so much. They're hilarious.
I'll put a picture right here.
I know. I can't wait till you guys, like, once we get through the story time, get to actually meet them and talk to them too. I'll even have them tell you guys their perspective on everything. But
so we ended up planning an event to where all of our friends, I can't even say all of our friends, but all of their friends from ATA, which was like a Taekwondo class they took, and some people from high school, it probably was about 10 of us there. We all decided to make it an event to where we all could come to Chesterfield Sports Fusion, which is like an arcade, kind of like Dave and Buster's or...
Yeah, you have like laser tag, dodgeball, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
I don't know. What is it? Whatever it's called. They got dropped off. I got dropped off by my parents, and
we just spent the whole day together, basically.
It wasn't even the whole day though. It was like 3 hours.
Well, yeah, it was 3 hours. But he actually got to meet my brothers. You know, at the time they only knew him as my friend. We just all had a good time, and it was a really, really fun 3 hours, even though it was only 3 hours. We played laser tag, dodgeball. Yeah. My brothers immediately loved him. Fawad kicked him in his ass because he felt like it. Like, Fawad is crazy. But they immediately really liked him because he was athletic, you know, and he just has a good personality. So they were, like, already a fan of his. So that was a good time for me.
Yeah, we had a great time. Yeah. I mean, it flew by. It was so sad how quickly that thing just passed. Because we were looking forward.
All that work we put into making it happen, and then it happened, and then it was gone.
For a week we planned that event. But beyond the point, that was the only time we saw each other. And we were leading into her actually starting college and me starting my last year of high school. And I gotta tell you guys that I was driven at that point. Something switched to where now that I know that school is probably one of the only ways that we can spend time together, I'm pretty much trying to get into college to wherever she went, I wanted to be as well. But at the same time, I knew that my grades were not up to par. So I had to make some changes. And honestly, what happened was my freshman year of high school, I had a 1.8 GPA because I failed 3 classes that first year. So I was starting off pretty much in a deficit. And beyond getting past that point, my grades did get a little bit better, but mediocre at best. You know, just enough to get by and to graduate, but really not enough to get into a great college or university. So I took on all AP and honors classes because I just had a chip on my shoulder. I pretty much felt like I wanted to be accepted by her family, and I knew that education was one thing that was valued very highly. Also having a good career, and of course you get a good career by having a great education and doing well in school, which is the thought that I had at that time. But I went to work. I mean, I took all AP classes.
Especially with how my GPA was.
Yeah,
like it was
finding out she had over a 4.0. She had like a 4.3 or something like that, something crazy. I didn't even know that was possible at the time. I just felt embarrassed overall, and I knew I could do better. So I knew I could do better, so I pretty much just buckled down and was doing whatever it took to make those grades happen.
And I was just in college, you know, meeting new people. It was like a whole nother experience. I made new friends. You know, I had different classes. College is a little different structure. So I was just adjusting to, you know, the college life and everything.
Yeah.
But we would still talk at the same time. But it became harder because with him having all his AP classes on top of a part-time job, and me with my college classes having to do my homework and do all my home chores and everything that had to get done, we would only be able to talk really late at night, which is really hard to do when you're really tired.
Exactly. So imagine, like, you know, you all probably can relate of how difficult it can be to live kind of a double life, to where you have to please everyone else but have the secret at the same time. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the secret, but I was kind of strung along with it because I had to be up at 11 o'clock and wake back up at 4 o'clock. You know, like it got intense. Sometimes it was even later than that. There would be nights where I wouldn't really sleep because I was catching up on homework because I was still talking to the Ray the night before, which is kind of crazy. We enjoyed having those conversations, obviously, but...
And look forward to them. But it just takes a toll on you, you know, after a while, emotionally and physically.
Yeah.
Your body gets tired.
Definitely. People knew about us from high school very well. Like, we were well known as a couple. And there was a few times that year that we were able to spend time together, which I cherished a lot. Mm-hmm. And 2 of those occasions were actually DeRay walking from her house to the school to come see me. And it was for probably a couple of hours during an academic period.
I wanted to seem so bad. And he literally, our school was at a walking distance. I mean, it wasn't really close, but it would take me about 20-25 minutes to go there. And it was a day where nobody was home. I was by myself, and I was like, you know what, I'm coming. And so we came. You skipped a class or something?
I might have, knowing me, if I...
And then we just spent those couple hours together, and that was it. And then I went back. And then another time was...
A teacher actually invited DeRay to come into class to sit in with me. It was actually a Spanish class, but she sat in with me, and it was awesome. You know, we got to...
she really understood us and our situation and everything, so that was really nice of her.
Yeah, and she was there for probably the majority of that day.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time we saw each other was actually a friend we had who helped us spend our first date together. And it was for Valentine's Day.
So this was in February, right? The whole year has pretty much almost passed.
Mm-hmm.
February's here. Up until February, we've only seen each other 2 times. And then during Valentine's Day, I made a really good friend in college. Her name is Fatima, which I love her so much. We go way back. Oh my gosh.
Shout out to Fatima for making this happen.
Fatima is amazing. Fatima has helped me so much in my life. She's amazing. But basically, because of her, you know, she drove me to have my first date with Leonard. And we actually went to an Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
Really close to our college. It was a really, really cute dinner. We can even show you guys a picture. Our waiter was really amazing. He, you know, by the time we finished our dinner, I guess he kind of got the feels that we were together. And then on our dessert plate, he kind of made like a chocolate.
It was like a heart.
And then like
with some syrup.
Light brown heart, I guess, trying to mimic our color and everything. But we can put that picture up here too.
Oh yeah.
But it was just really cute and special because it was the first time we actually had a date.
And a long time together. It wasn't just us being outside of school, but to really just have ourselves, and that was the first official date, pretty much.
Yeah.
We're past February, and you all know school is over in May, and it's even earlier in May for those who are seniors because we get out like a week early for school. But we have prom coming up, and prom was one of those things where I really wanted to go to because I've never been to any dance for a school function before. I missed all the homecomings, even though I played football. I missed every school event pretty much. Like, I don't know why, but it just happened that way. My family wanted me to go, and I wanted to go. So I knew that DeRay was going to have a challenge making that happen. So
I knew I couldn't go. Prom was at night. I needed a dress. Like, I needed a bride. There was no way it was going to happen, basically.
You know, I remember you actually were hinting at your mom, too, to let you come. And you were pointing out prom dresses to her, and she just wasn't having it. But yeah, so what ended up happening was we tried to make a solution, which was me bringing on a friend from school that would just come to prom with me so we could dance, and that'll be it. And we did find a person who, I didn't say we, but I found a person who I wanted to take with me. But when I tried to introduce her to my family did not even, they didn't even get a chance to meet before they decided, nope, you can't take her to prom. And it's funny how my parents decided who I take to prom and who I don't take to prom, but they just didn't like the girl. So, yeah, I had to find somebody else. And what ended up happening was, through a mutual friend, people knew that I was looking for a prom date that was supposed to be pretty much just a friendly gesture, not to be romantic in any way, shape, or form, because I was very vocal that I had DeRay and I was interested in DeRay. But she knew of a friend that she had who also had a similar situation. It wasn't that she had a boyfriend, but she didn't have anyone at her school to take to her prom because she was a senior there as well. So she introduced us and we met, decided, hey, you know what, you're a cool person, you're not weird. I can go to your prom, or I can go to your prom, you can go to my prom, and we can work it out that way. So my family, I told them about the girl that I met. They liked the idea. And
I did not like the idea of this at all.
Yeah.
To put my perspective in it a little bit, I felt like it was unnecessary at the time. I didn't feel like prom was that big of a deal, that we had to do this much work. I didn't feel comfortable with him taking another girl either, but we came to a compromise where as long as I can talk to her, you know, and then let her know her place, then I'm on board. But yeah.
So we ended up pretty much going to her prom first. It was fine. After that, my father wanted to come for graduation, for me graduating high school. And it was a big deal because I literally busted my behind that entire school year. Like I got 4.0s. I was doing better on tests than the valedictorians of our school and our class at that point. So I was really succeeding. I was on track to go to college, and things were going well. My dad was proud. He wanted to come down and support, basically. So he decided to say, hey, let me meet the girl who's causing me so much trouble and so much money, because I'm buying 2 tuxes. I'm going to get you a chauffeur so you can go in style, and of course put some money in your pocket for actually going to the dances and whatever you guys do afterwards. So he did meet the girl that I took to prom, and pretty much after that, DeRay and I were definitely having some rough patches because she didn't like the idea that I was taking someone else, but we did talk about it for a long time. And she did give me permission to take her, but it wasn't quite the way that she wanted to go. With that being said, about a month after my high school graduation, my father suddenly passed away. And that took me and my family pretty much by storm. And that was around June. So we're talking 2013 for those of you who are kind of lost in the timeline here. But pretty much I was a wreck. I mean, I was really not myself. There would be times where I would just cry uncontrollably, and I really could not be social with anyone. I was pretty much sliding into a depression because, I don't know, nothing can prepare you to cope with that kind of experience. And I really was trying to find ways to distract myself, because distracting myself from DeRay and I not being together would be through school and being through the work that I was doing and just going to the gym overall. But with someone passing away, it's not quite as easy. So DeRay did come, and she gave her condolences, which I was really amazed that she and Fatima came to my house for the first time to give their support.
Yeah, when I found out something that terrible happened, you know, I was determined to find a way to go see him, you know, no matter what happened. And so Fatima was kind enough to take me to his home, and, you know, so we could give our condolences then. Mm-hmm. But it was up until, before that had happened, we're already having serious problems. You know, this other girl being in the picture was a very big problem.
Yeah.
And it was not going well for us. But that big of a tragedy happening, you know, of course I'm not going to consider anything else. Like, I would drop everything and come see him. But, so I did, but
yeah, so pretty much she came, and I was very thankful for her being there for that day. But it was literally just a day. And I don't know how long it takes to cope with a death, especially a death of a parent. But the pain just doesn't go away, and I have to keep occupied. And I did not have any friends. Literally, DeRay was my only friend at that time, beyond this other person that I kind of became friends with by going to prom. I'm not going to mention her name because I don't have permission to mention her name or show her face, and I want to be respectful to her as well. But we ended up spending a lot of time together, and she was very kind about it. She literally, the day that my father passed away and DeRay could not be with me that day, she brought me to her house to be with her and her family because I just was in shock. And literally, I just needed support around me. And she was there. Although DeRay wanted to be there, she physically could not be there. So we just started kind of going like this in a way. Long story short, we ended up spending more and more time together, and it made me question whether or not I was still committed to DeRay, because after going through that experience, it kind of made me just not believe that, hey, if she can't be for me during this point in life, I don't know what's going to happen next. And I just had a lot of uncertainty. But I did have someone here that was showing support, and that was able to help me get through it and was interested as well. And for the most part, there was every reason why I should date this other individual versus this other individual. And my father met this person, and that was the only woman my father ever met that I dated. So that was kind of a big deal to me. And he did not, quote, quote, give me the approval to go ahead and do it. But I guess
he just wasn't a fan of me because he didn't believe in my ability to commit.
To step up, yeah. My father had no respect for DeRay, but he did have respect for this other individual. And I think that just made it a lot easier for me to, I guess, quote unquote, choose. And we decided that it will be best if we just ended it there.
Yeah, that ripped me apart.
Yeah. So at this point in time, I'm entering college and I am pre-med. I decided that medicine was going to be the career for me because I was still very, very ambitious, very aggressive with my goals. And the one thing I want to mention too is that since being with DeRay, this change suddenly happened. I did not have this ambition that came out of nowhere. I've always been inspired to do great things, but never did I have so much clarity at that point when I was with DeRay. So I guess I was still on that momentum of doing well and succeeding. And I continued to succeed regardless of the fact that my father just passed away. I was still very focused. I still got a 4.0 in college with a very rigorous curriculum as pre-med. But pretty much we dated, when I say we, me and this other girl, we dated for about 9 or 10 months. And I realized that...
And can I talk about what I was doing at that time?
Well, yeah.
So,
go ahead.
Basically, after we broke up, it was a really, really hard time for me because it's like one of those things where I knew this would happen. You know, it's like when I warned him when we first started dating, and he wouldn't believe me as to how difficult it was, and then convinced me, and then I did it anyway. When we finally did break up, it was like one of those things where, DeRay, you're so stupid, right? Like, you did this to yourself. You knew this would happen. You're the one who decided to fall in love anyway, and now look, you're completely broken. Like, you guys gotta understand, before Leonard, I never took guys seriously. You know, I never really cared much for guys. You know, guys were, I mean, I don't know, I never met someone like him that meant that much to me. And who I was so committed to, where, I don't know, I did whatever I could to be with him. And then when it was done, I was heartbroken for a very long time. And not to just be separated, but because of another person coming in the picture, that was even worse, I feel like. But I understand big picture why it happened. Like, I don't blame him because as he explained, all the events added up, you know.
It wasn't that I didn't love her any less, but I literally just did not have any commitment on her part. And that was, I know in the past video, in part 1, I said that I would do whatever it took as long as she gave me the commitment that it would happen one day. But I did not have that commitment, even at that point in time, which was probably a year after we had that conversation. So all those things added up, and it just...
Yeah. So I was broken pretty much for the rest of that summer. And had to just work on repairing myself, right? I was going into college. College was starting again. And so I was just focused on being with my friends, which luckily I had a great group of friends. Like, I went to Merrimack Community College in St. Louis, and I met some of the most beautiful, nicest people. I started joining a lot of clubs, started third wheeling a lot of people, and they actually enjoyed me being around them. So I just stayed occupied that way. I was in a lot of clubs, a lot of activities. I just kept myself busy, and then didn't even, focus on that part of my life, like relationships, I guess you could say. So that's kind of where I stood. I had cut Leonard, obviously I don't believe if you're not together that you should keep any form of communication, so I unfollowed him off of everything, never texted, never did anything like that. I mean, after something that big happening, I didn't honestly want anything to do with him. I felt betrayed, if you want me to be honest, and I just felt like I just didn't want this person to be part of my life in any way, so we just didn't have any communication during that time at all. So I just completely cut him out of my life and tried to move on.
So we didn't have any communication during those 9 or 10 months that I was with this other person.
And I basically did think maybe it is for the better, maybe what everybody says that, a different religion, different culture, it doesn't work. Maybe they're right, maybe this is for the better. So just moved on.
Yeah, and my parents, they definitely supported my decision because the individual that I'm referring to, who I was with,
not only did they support, they helped you make the decision too.
They didn't help. No, they did not help me make the decision. They
influenced your decision a lot. They even admitted to it.
It wasn't like they just said, no, you have to date her. It wasn't like that.
No. It wasn't like that. But
at the end of the day, I had a choice, and I made the choice. But I just lost my train of thought.
No, but they were definitely in her favor. She was the same.
Yeah, they were in her favor
race,
because she was the same race and the same religion.
So
to them, it just seemed like it would be an easier relationship to endure. And it's not that...
Which I don't blame them for, right? I understand as him being her son and...
Wait, hold on though. But grandson. It wasn't that I was... For better words, they just thought that in the long run, I would be happier with this other person versus being a secret still. That really what it came down... That's what it came down to at the end of the day. They did not like that we had different religions, but because DeRay never told her parents, they just questioned that she ever would, because it's been probably almost 2 years at this point that we've been together, and they supported me pretty much cutting ties and just moving on. But with that being said, the thing that brought us back together was, first of all, there was some issues with the other relationship. I'm not going to get into detail. There was some drama. But long story short, beyond that, I mentioned that when I met DeRay, something sparked that made me a better person, made me want to be better, made me want to have a future for her, and really made me want to provide and be my best and just maximize my potential overall. I wanted to show her family that I'm the man I'm the man, pretty much, you know? I don't want there to be any question that I can provide and that we can be happy. I just wanted to, I felt like I had so much to prove to the world, but it was the right kind of motivation that makes me a better person, that makes me level up and challenge myself and grow. But when I was with this other person, you know, I can't say that I felt the same fire ignited within me. And I'm not saying that it was a romantic thing at all. I'm just saying that I like myself better when I was with DeRay versus this other person. And to me, that mattered a lot. And not to mention, I still did love DeRay a lot. And it wasn't that I left her because I didn't love her. It was just because I did think it would work out. So when this other relationship pretty much died off because of some drama that happened, I did reach back out to DeRay about a month later and try to find out what she was up to since the time we haven't been together. And she tells me that she is entertaining other guys. So.
Well, what do you expect?
I can't imagine.
Okay, I did say that. Sorry, I was emotional. But so I did say that I was focused on hanging out with my friends and then just staying occupied and not focusing on that part. But towards the end of the year, you know, a couple of people approached me and decided to try it. I guess they were Desi, so I decided why not give it a shot. You know, it didn't work with someone outside of my culture. Maybe somebody with my culture it will, but it didn't. Long story short, neither one of them were what I was looking. Neither one of them essentially were Leonard. Right? When I met Leonard, I knew like it was so easy. You know, you don't have to think about anything. Everything just flows. Everything is just simple. Everything we like to do matches. You just don't have to, there's no drama. It's just stress-free, you know? With these other people, it was just too much. Like, too much work, too much thinking, and I was just like, no.
Yeah. I think one thing, too, that I want to mention is that the reason why I think we were able to come back together, and I'm not even saying that I reached out to her and she said, yeah, I'll take you back. It wasn't like that.
No.
But I think the reason why she was at least open to having a conversation with me was because at the end of the day, when we were friends, we made each other better. And we brought out the best in each other. And that's one important thing that I think every relationship probably should stem off of. I'm not a counselor, so don't quote me on this, but this is just me personally speaking. That I think that that's a really good attribute to a relationship that's going to be successful. Is pretty much
really strong
what you bring to the table. And yeah, being friends at the end of the day.
Right, bringing out the best in each other and just being really good friends, right? Beyond even the romantic stuff. Like, even before me and Leonard did get romantic when we met, it started out as a beautiful friendship, you know, and at the end of the day, I think that is what always brings us back together, is because we are such good friends. You know, we share everything. We see eye to eye when it comes to goals and dreams, our future, what we expect from ourselves, you know, what we would expect from our future children. You know, everything is just aligned. And so I feel like you're right, you know, that is a lot of what brought us back. You know, and I'm not gonna lie, when he did reach out to me, I forgave him, right? But I didn't forget necessarily. So I was not about to entertain him at all again. You know, I was very distant, you know, even though he's as bold as he is and pulls his moves and whatnot. I was resisting, you know, very strongly because, you know, I still didn't forget. But as time went on, I stopped entertaining these other guys. I ended it completely. And when he asked me, so, you know, what's going on? What's happening to this other guy? And I was like, yeah, that did not happen.
And I pretty much, I think, invited her to come to my school because I was living in the dorms and I was still in St. Louis. She was still in St. Louis. And her college was pretty much probably about 10 minutes away, if not less. So I said, hey, I want to see you in person. Come to my university. We can play pool. I got a pool table that's, you know, super fun to, you know what I mean? Like, I just invited her. So she came, and she did come because of a guy friend that she had who drove her here. And it was the three of us playing pool. But when we were playing pool, it was almost as if, you know, nothing changed. And that was one thing that I think definitely reassured me that I was still interested. And it,
wait, I want to mention this. So the guys that I was, like, you know, dating at the time before he came back into my life, right? Even though they were my same culture, it proved to me that even though you're from the same culture, it's not necessarily that you guys will automatically be compatible. You know, and I saw that immediately. You know what I mean? And it was just, I don't know, it was just very obvious. When you find someone that you are so compatible with, and then you're with people that you're not compatible with, you recognize it really quickly. You know, so I knew almost immediately that it wasn't going to work, you know? So, yeah. So when I went to go hang out with Leonard, it wasn't to ignite a romantic relationship again at all, but to at least have fun, because that was stressful. You know, I don't like getting involved in relationships. They're very, you know, a lot of emotion goes into it and a lot of pain, and it was just a lot. And I just wanted to be like relaxed and stress-free. So I took up his offer to go see him, and that's when we kind of started hanging out again. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and during that time, I actually did have a car. So we were able to have so much fun. I mean, we were actually able to go out and be together without 20 other people being around, even though they kind of still were, because she was committed to the friends that she made newly that...
Yeah, because they stuck with me during hard times. You mean?
But yeah, so she made these new friends, and she made these commitments that
like
she didn't want to break.
Like we had a fashion show we had to do, right? I was in a fashion show.
Also
we
a
had
dance.
A dance routine.
Yeah.
We would go to events. Like I had everything planned out. I told y'all I was not playing. I was going to keep myself occupied, and I was having fun. It wasn't even that I was trying to keep myself occupied. I was genuinely having fun with all these people. Mm-hmm. But now it became even more fun because Leonard was able to become a part of it. And one of those days we happened to go to a movie, and that was the day we pretty much...
Don't blame me. Don't blame me. You can't blame me for that one.
Yes, I can.
You had a part in that too.
No, I didn't.
we pretty much agreed that, yeah, we want to give it another try. The day that we went to the movie theater, and it was us and also the same group of individuals that we were just talking about. So at this point in time, we're probably maybe March of 2014.
Yeah,
I think my
math. That was marking the end of my 2 years at college.
Yeah, but we had a great time. I mean, I'll put the clip here if I can, or a picture, but literally it was so much fun, and it actually felt like we were a couple at that point in time because we had the freedom. She was able to leave school, and plan out time for us to hang out while she was supposed to be in school. And
college is more flexible, you know. You go to class for an hour, you have a gap of like 3 hours, and you have another class. So I was very strategic in moving them around. So
yeah, and I was doing well in college as well, so I had the flexibility to, you know what, I can skip this class. I have an A, no big deal. And I had a car, so it was much easier at that time to actually enjoy each other.
So long story short, we basically began dating again.
Yeah, well, they should already know that by now. Hopefully.
Right. We began dating again, and we were actually dating. Like, we were going to events and doing all these fun activities, and it seemed like life was perfect. I was graduating. I had 4.0 GPA. I was doing really good. I was going to move myself to another university. I was applying to scholarships. He was doing really good in school. And then, a little bit before I graduate, my dad has a conversation with us as a family, and he talks about how his business isn't doing so well and how we have to relocate to Arkansas because he found a job there.
So at this point, we are literally like back from square one from going to high school. You know, it's almost like reliving the past of we're counting down the days until DeRay leaves and we don't see each other again.
And I basically had to make a choice. So when my father told us, he had found a house for us and everything. So we were going to live in Little Rock, and the place where they were going to work was an hour and a half away. So he purposely had us live in Little Rock so we could be close, so me and my siblings could be close to better schools and have a better life. And they made the sacrifice to drive an hour and a half away to work every single day, like there and back. And so I had to make the decision, and my siblings were really young at the time, you know, like when my parents were working, I was the main person at home, like making sure everybody does their homework on time, chores are getting done on time. I helped keep the house down, you know.
She held the house down.
Yeah. So I had to basically make a decision of whether to just come out. And forgot to mention, I had a full ride to Webster University.
Which was where I was attending and succeeding.
Yeah. I literally applied, got a full ride scholarship and everything, and then he tells me this. So I had to make a decision between taking my full ride scholarship, telling them the truth about Leonard, and just staying, or whether to hold off, right? And I decided to hold off. Reason being because I felt at that point in time my family needed me. You know, I didn't feel at the moment that was the time to abandon ship. You know, and I didn't think I was mentally prepared anyway to take that big of a step in my life. Plus, I genuinely felt like if they can make that sacrifice to drive an hour and a half to work every single day just so me and my siblings can do well in school, this is a small sacrifice. And having me and Leonard go through like a huge breakup and then still finding our way back to each other, I felt like if we can overcome that, we can overcome anything else. And so I decided to go.
And we became long distance.
Officially became long distance. We were
6 hours away from each other, and we were in college. So,
and we will pick back up on that in part 3.
Part 3, we will cover some amazing material. Not only show you how we pretty much got to the point where we can make it work, but also the question
how we got here.
The question that everyone has been asking us to answer as far as how did she tell her parents about us, and how do we get to this point that we're together and making things happen
right now.
So that's going to be covered in part 3. So stay tuned for that video. We will let you know when it drops. It'll be very soon. Hopefully the wait won't be too long for you all. But like I said, or like she said, recording these videos and reliving the past is not always the easiest thing because we've been through a lot. I mean, even in the video coming up to where we're doing part 3.
I have to talk about my mother, my mental process. I think it's going to be very important for me to share my mental process with you guys though, because I've grown so much as a person. Like if you met me years ago, you wouldn't even believe that I'm the same person now.
No.
You know, when it comes to mentality at least, and mindset, and how I view things. Like I've changed a lot. And I'm going to be able to talk to you about the resources that I use to reach this point, like books, counselors, all of those things, and to help you figure out, to give you resources to be able to do the same thing.
Yep.
So yeah.
Pretty much stay tuned for that, because we're going into a lot of detail as far as overcoming those challenges of being long distance as well as her parents.
Right. But thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. I hope you were able to follow us on this part 2 journey. I know it's a little bit more emotional, but thank you so much for being a part of our lives. Even though it's difficult for us to share some parts, I'm glad we do, right? Because I know we're not the only ones who go through it.
I mean, it happens. Every couple, every relationship, they all have obstacles that will have to be overcome, whether it be now, in the future, or in general. It's normal. So the one thing I want to mention as well is that if you all have not subscribed or gave the video a thumbs up, and do so now, please, because it helps us to make sure that you all are still watching the video and you enjoy the content that we are putting out.
Right, we're not going through this emotional process for nothing.
Yeah, and we plan on doing other kind of videos as well, like challenges and just more lighthearted things, because us as a couple, we're more lighthearted. We don't like to do serious videos all the time, because it's not our thing. But if you want it, we'll give it to you.
Right. But this is an important part of who we are, like what we went through. So we wanted to be able to share that all with you.
Pretty much.
So yeah, see you guys in part 3.
Peace.